NFL draft right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
We just gave you our quarterback rankings in a previous episode. Now I want to talk wide receivers. This is a deep wide receiver class with a lot of variables. I mean, there are players that no one was really talking about that have snuck into the top 5 on a lot of big boards. There are players that people thought were arguably the best receiver in the country, i.e. Luther Burden, that have fallen out of a lot of people's rankings. And there are people like Matthew Golden who put up insane combines and pro days that some people are like, hey, he might really be the best pure wide receiver in this class. So I want to give out everyone's individual rankings, the ones you think in order going into the draft, not the order you think they'll get drafted in, but how good you would draft them in, how good you think they are. And Mike, I want to start with you on this.
All right.
Because I'd be interested to see if you have Matthew Golden after his pro day.
Or Isaiah Bond.
I forgot about Isaiah Bond.
So Matthew Golden after his pro day is my number 1 overall. I think he performed the best.
That's the worst take I've ever heard of my life.
I don't care. I think he performed the best out of any wide receiver that performed at the combine. He
did.
Yeah,
That's
not even
So
like.
Brady Cook also performed the best out of any quarterback that ran at the pro day.
Regardless, I think Matthew Golden is the best route runner probably available. I think he is extremely intelligent. He's ability to find open slots in defenses.
Ryan laughing is making me laugh.
No,
yeah,
I'm
I don't.
not even disagreeing
Ryan doesn't
with
like
you.
Matthew Golden,
No,
apparently.
I actually was on Matthew Golden before
Yeah.
Mike.
Okay.
always been
Anyway, so
anti-Iowa.
I am a really big on Matthew Golden as wide receiver 1 for this class. Number 2, kind of I guess not really a throwback, but Tetro McMillan from Arizona. I think Arizona had a really tough year this past year. Obviously, they just weren't really able to make stuff happen.
No, Fafita was awful.
Fafita, yeah, literally,
That was the worst preseason Heisman bet I've ever made in my entire life.
yeah, and everyone kind of
it
thought
was
like
dead week 0. It was, they saw me place that bet and they canceled the wager but took the money.
I think after like that freshman year, everyone got really hype on the connection that they had and overhyped both Fafita and McMillan. In my opinion, I think McMillan is actually like he has the talent, but he just wasn't able to have the guy like get him the ball. But again, I think based off his combine and based off just his actual ability that we've already seen.
He's the consensus
Yeah,
wide
by
receiver
my
1.
It's not like
Not
it's
even
a hot take.
close,
I mean,
yeah.
it's consensus 1.
Oh, okay. Well, then McMillan is my 2.
Yeah.
Number 3, I have Emeka Mbuka. I think obviously just what he showed in the college football playoffs, and then he had a not bad in any way, shape, or form pro day and combine. So Emeka, just purely off what we've seen on the field, shows that he's a top 3 talent. Luther Burden is going to be my number 4. Just raw. We've been talking about him for the past 2 years. There's a reason for it. I think he's shown it time and time again.
Brady Cook's best friend right there.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a reason for it because he has safety hands. And then number 5, I have Trey Harris. I kind of just like his actual like physique. I think he's going to fit well into the NFL.
What's he, 6'2", 205?
He's just a big guy. And so like, I don't know. I like that ability to almost
He's
just
quick,
because he's so big, makes him an easier target. And then yeah, that's my top 5.
Word. Yeah, I'll go. No surprise, number 1. McMillan is the number 1 receiver in this class. 6'4.5", 220 pounds.
Freak.
Absolute beast of a wide receiver prospect. Pretty clearly the best pure wide receiver in this class, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think he's an absolute gem. He's the only wide receiver I would even consider taking in the top 10 as a pure wide receiver. Obviously, my number 2 is Travis Hunter. I know some of you guys might not have, like, you didn't have him on your list.
I thought he was going in as a corner.
Well, he went into the combine as a corner. He said he wants Goodell to announce him as a wide receiver and cornerback because that's what he will be playing for whoever drafts him, i.e. when the Browns draft him. But, yeah, I think Travis Hunter somehow became a slightly underrated receiver in all of the conversations we've been talking about him because he's an unbelievable corner. Gets a shitload of interceptions. But his receiving numbers were outstanding. I know they force-fed him stats. But he had some spectacular catches, and his hands are insane. He's really quick. So I like Travis Hunter. I think he'll be a really good player on both sides of the ball. So he's my number 2. My number 3 is Matthew Golden. I'm with Mike on this. I think there's going to be teams that are going to fall in love with Matthew Golden. Because very similarly to how other Texas receivers in the past, we're not going to name anyone, but X going to give it to you, got drafted in the right spot and absolutely balled out in their first season. I think Matthew Golden's probably better than Xavier Worthy, honestly. I think he's I think he's a better pass catcher, and he's
Better
freakishly
route runner,
fast.
for sure.
Sub 4.340 is actually crazy
At
speed.
that size, yeah.
So yeah, at that size, 5'11", 190. So I think he's a pretty nice number 3 right there. Number 4, I have Jaden Higgins.
Thank you. That's a dog.
6'4", 215, 4.47 40 time, massive frame, 39-inch vertical. Iowa State has 2 really good receivers in this class. It reminds me a lot of what Ole Miss had when they had Metcalf and A.J. Brown coming out in the same draft class.
Smokes. What
and-
draft class.
Yeah, I know.
That's
He's a
insane.
former 2-star recruit, caught 140 passes for 2,200 yards and 15 touchdowns in just 2 seasons. This guy's rising all over draft boards, and I get it. I understand why. I think he's going to be a really good receiver and some guy you can get in the 2nd round or 3rd round and instantly be a starting wide receiver 2 on your team. And to round out the top 5, I have Emeka Mbuka. I know sorry, voice crack right there. Early in the season, a lot of people projected him to be like wide receiver 1 or 2 in this class. Obviously, that didn't materialize. It wasn't really his fault, though. I mean, they had the best wide receiver prospect maybe ever in Jeremiah Smith come and just steal the entire spotlight. Emeka also, I think, is very similar physique-wise and route running-wise to Chris Olave, which might be scaring some people away when you see what Chris Olave's done or failed to do with the Saints so far. I mean, you're, Chris Olave fan club number 1 right there. But I think Emeka's
Maybe number 2.
Yeah, I think Emeka's a really good wide receiver 2 option right away as well. I don't think he's going to come in and be like a superstar, but I think he can definitely get you, 800 receiving yards and a bunch of catches. So I think that's the best option to round out the top 5. Then a few honorable mentions I just want to touch on, and I'll hand it off to Ryan. I have Luther Burden right there. 6 foot, 205, super high upside, was great in college. Kind of don't know if one's going to pan out well or not, to be honest, but I like him. Eric Ayamayor, I've been a fan of for a while, so I had to throw him in there. Ever since he torched Travis Hunter 2 years ago.
That was awesome.
In the Stanford, Colorado game. Have to mention him. He's pretty big, and I think he fits into a lot of NFL schemes well. Can kind of play a supplementary role, like wide receiver 3. Trey Harris, a guy I think can end up being a wide receiver 1 on some team someday, but I don't think he's necessarily ready right now. I know he has the injury history. He's 6'2", 205, but he's pretty quick. I just hope he stays healthy and gets in the right spot. Then 2 more. Jalen Noel, the other half of
Iowa State, yeah.
the Iowa State duo. He's 5'10", 195, but he's freakishly fast. He's 4.35 speed, and he's been absolutely skyrocketing up all boards since he went crazy at the Senior Bowl. And last, I just want to throw this guy out there. I'm a fan of him. I've watched some of his tape and highlights. Is Jalen Royals. 6 foot,
That's my
205
dog.
out of Utah State.
overs, baby.
Yeah,
Holy
he's
fuck.
he's one of the quickest wide receivers in the class, and actually is the fastest 10-yard split of any player at the entire combine.
Wow.
So he's a really, really quick off the line. I feel like some team will get him in like the 5th round, and you'll be happy with it.
That's a beautiful list. I like the round out there. Number 1 by so many far lengths is Ted McMillan. He's the best everything in this draft. There's nothing anyone's better than him. You could say speed because you run a faster 40. In the game, I want him as my wide receiver 1 by a mile. My number 2 is actually Emeka. He's just getting downlooked because of all these other guys that had wide receiver 1 potential on their team. Like you said, Jeremiah Smith took over. If he was by himself anywhere else, I think it would have went crazy. He's literally, I think he's more of a JSN perfect comp. He's in the slot a lot. He catches a lot of short passes, but he has the speed to go deep. So I think he's
Not small either. He's 6'1".
yeah, no,
Not
I think
super
he's going to
small.
be.
Yeah.
No, it's not small at all. Especially, I
It's
mean,
big for a slot.
yeah. So I think he's going to be very good. I mean, you saw JSN panned out and how he will pan out.
Yeah, he's wide receiver 1 on the Seahawks.
Freak,
next year,
yeah, freak. So I think he'll do really good. Number 3, I had Jaden Higgins. When you have that size and you play, I mean, Iowa State did not. Their quarterback isn't good. So I just thought he's unbelievable. His size and his speed is ridiculous. Number 4, I had Luther Burden. He had a bad year last year. His quarterback was hurt 95% of the entire season, and the team was just way worse than what we thought. I still think his talent is unbelievable, and he'll show it in this league. I've been on Luther Burden for a while, so a little bias here, but love him. Number 5, Trey Harris. Before he got hurt, one of the best wide receivers in the country with Ole Miss with that combo with Jackson Dart. So I agree with Tyler. He can find that wide receiver 1 role. who knows when it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it'll be eventually. I don't think he's
Yeah.
going to hop in and just go crazy rookie year, though.
I agree. And then my honorable mentions, I had Jalen Royals from Utah State. I can't believe you said that. I was betting this team's over every week. So the fact that this guy, he had to get points from this only guy. He was a freak of nature.
He's fast,
And then my other honorable mention, Jack Beck from TCU. This guy
Stud.
is huge. Like, he just moves through people. It reminds me of like Brock Bowers, but he's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a value pick that people just have no idea about, and he's going to play and blow up teams. So Jack Beck, round it out. Mario?
Number 1 got T-Mac, obviously. Feel like I had to put him here because of what I've seen from him, especially 2 years ago with him and Fafita going off. The only question I have is just like that size. It is hard to be that tall and be that successful in the NFL at his like physique. Usually when guys are 6'4", they're like DK Metcalf
bigger. He's a
or
little thinner.
Julio Jones, who have the 4.31 speed and also a ton of power. He's a little bit slender, so you're going against some big corners. You could get stuffed. You're just a bigger target.
220 is not that slender for 6'4", but
But no,
He
I'm
just
just
has the look of
look
being
at like
Okay, yeah.
you know what I mean, like he's not like a super big dude, but I mean the talent's unreal, so I have to put him number 1. Number 2 for me is going to be Trey Harris. I think when
Whoa.
he's healthy, I think his potential is really, really high. I know he has injury history, but it reminds me just very, very similar to AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. Both two people that were just like physically just imposing, huge people. Both AJ
Breakaway
Brown
speed,
and DK
yeah.
Metcalf could not stay healthy in college. Have been pretty good in the NFL. So I don't know. I feel like
say
it could
that,
be a very similar, and they both went to Ole Miss. So
I was
like-
going to say, I wonder if the Ole Miss.
trade.
so it's just, and like, I don't know, Ole Miss has a thing for finding just these freak athletes. So number 3 and 4, it's kind of like a toss up for me between Golden and Emeka. You could go either way. I have Golden 3, Emeka 4. Golden for me was the only impressive person on offense for me out of the receivers when I'd watch Texas. To me, he was just by far like their best option.
100%.
And he did great in the combine. So fan of him. And then Emeka, same thing. Time and time again, whenever Smith is getting doubled, no one in the nation could guard him one-on-one. So had to put him 4. And then 5, Luther Burden. Honorable mentions have Higgins and Jalen Noel from Iowa State. Going to be honest, didn't
duo.
watch a ton of Iowa State football, so I can't
That's
give a really good opinion on them. I've seen highlights, but I haven't seen a lot of game footage. But I have them as
Higgins is better.
yeah, he has them.
Higgins.
I've seen that he's ranked way higher. But another honorable mention of Jack Beck, as
Hell yeah.
what Ryan said. I have Ayo Manor from Stanford, what Tyler said. Threw in Restrepo is there as well because I think he could be a good slot
He is.
receiver.
He's good.
And then obviously had to throw in the honorable mention. R.I.P. Go Tigers. Kyron Lacey definitely would have been on this list. for sure.
100%.
All right.
And then also, if you're watching, you're probably like, where's Travis Hunter? I didn't rank him as a receiver because it was like kind of weird. I personally do not believe he's going to be a wide receiver in the NFL. He might play some snaps rookie year. I don't think after rookie year you see him playing wide receiver. So that's my personal opinion. If I had to rank him as a wide receiver, I think he'd be in like the 6 to 8 range. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Well, there you have it. Let us know who you like at the top. I mean, pretty much. I mean, Mike had Golden, but the rest of
Golden
us
boy.
had McMillan. And let us know what you think about some of these guys that we said may or may not pan out. I know everyone's got a favorite college wide receiver. There's a lot of variance in these lists.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I also think the way these guys are going to get drafted is probably not anywhere close to the way the rankings are going to be. I think the quarterbacks, like Mel Kiper's big board, are going to get taken pretty much in order for the most part.
Yeah, this will be
I
just-
wouldn't be surprised if running backs outside of Ashton and Omarion and wide receivers outside of like Tet at 1 just go crazy. Like
anything.
the most random
I agree.
players from like 15 getting selected at 7, etc. So let us know what you think. NFL draft's right around the corner. Real excited for it.
You.